Hello class, welcome back to R for data analysis class. So in our previous video we learned something about atomic data type, right? And then in the third section we learned something about how you store these atomic data types in R. We learned something about vectors and then matrices. So here are we in section 6. So in section 6 we are come to discuss something about list function, right? So this list function can combine different sort of atomic data type in one argument and just execute it at once, right? So we learned something about how we store vectors, right? So we store the vectors separately and we execute it separately. We store the matrix separately and execute it one separately, right? But for here, the list function can combine these matrices that we can see the text and the vector at once, and even beyond this, and then just execute it at once. So first, let's recap from what we just did: storing of our vectors, storing of our string, and what matrices. But when we get to the list function, we really will appreciate. When you come here, you just run, right? Because we have learned how you store vectors and then how you store vectors in app. So if you haven't watched that video, just go back and watch so that you really appreciate it. And storing of our text here, you have m is equal to c into bracket red and yellow, right? So this one is just a string, right? When you execute it will come nice. And then storing of our matrices, right? So here we have these matrices in app, right? And then we have learned that one too, right? So once you execute it will give this 9 to you, right? But I don't maybe you really want to check the dimension of the matrix. You just use the then into bracket of the variable name, then just run. So it has also given to us that this is what 4 by 2 matrices, right? So here our interest here is what to combine these things that we did here, to combine what the vector, the string, and what the matrices into what a list function and see how this list function will execute it. What it's going to take these variables at once, right? It's going to take these variables and execute it at once. So you are not going to see them separately. So here, this new dot list that you can see is just a variable name, right? I can just erase it and make it y. But here, since I'm using the new list tool, let me change it to the new dot what list, so that will be very nice, right? So we have new dot list is equal to what list, sorry, new dot list, that's a variable name, is equal to the list function, right? You want to bring the list function, then the argument will be the variable, the atomic data type variable that you want to put inside and execute it at once. So here we have our vector, we have our string, and we have our matrix. So if you want to execute this one, you just run, then you see nicely, it will show nicely here, right? It has shown here that he executed the vector for us. This is the character string, and this one the matrices, right? So that is how to work it for you, right? But at the end of the day, you see, it wasn't named, right? Any name was not given to the vector, any name was not given to the string, any name was not given to the matrix. So maybe you would like to maybe give these variables a name, so that once you see that, oh, this one is a vector, oh, this is a vector, this is a string, this is a matrix, so that at the end of the day it will really help you to really understand your codes, right? So at the end of the day, if you want to change, if you only want to give a name to this argument here, in front of the argument just type the variable name that you want to give. So here I just want to give it a vector, so here just a vector is equal to that, a string is equal to that, and matrix is equal to that. So once you equate it like that and then just run, once you equate it like that and just run, you see it has appeared here. This is our variable name, the vector. As you can see here, string is our variable name and the matrix is our variable name, right? As you can see there. But I don't believe you will see that maybe the names given to the vectors here, the vector, the string, and the matrix, you don't like it. You really want to change the name, right? So this is just a variable name. Names into bracket new dot list. It's just a variable name, right? If you really want to change it, you just put the c, they bring the c function, and then the name that you really want to give to the vectors, really want to give to the argument at the top there, right? So I just want the vectors to be what ns, for similar to be the string, and you have to be what the matrix, right? So once I execute, it will come nicely, right? As you can. So R has changed the vector, the string, and the matrix into what ns for snare and what yeah, right? So at the end of the day, right, maybe you really want to, let's say, select some variables in this list function. So here this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. So maybe you want to really select the 1 and the 2, right? So if you want to select the 1 and the 2, what you do is that you just bring the variable name new dot list into brackets 1 is to 2. 1 is to 2 is going to take this vector and then take the string, Right? So once we have it here and execute, you see it will surely remove that one for us. So we have our NS to be 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, and then our Faustina to be red and yellow, right? And if we only want to get only the third item, the matrix, right, you can just run, and only the matrix will be given to me there. And then if we want to get the second matrix, it's surely going to be given to you as red and then yellow. Right? Sometimes we really want to get summary of what data that we have. Maybe this is the lens that we are using here might not be enough for us to really get what we are trying to say, right? Maybe one day you get a big data and you really want to make some summary about the data. First, you have to check the length of what the data. The length of the data is really going to help you to know how big your data is. So here, just the length function into bracket of what the name of what the data. And here our name of the data is what the new.list. Once I run it, I've been seeing that we have 3 lengths, right? So the 3 lengths that you can see there is that we are having 3 individuals inside, right? And then the structure is going to describe the data type that we have in there, right? Yes. So once you run, we have NS. NS is numeric, Faustina is character, and the I is what? Numeric, right? Just summarizing what the atomic data type that we have. And then sample 2 is going to check for the central tendencies, right? Once you run it, right? Once you run it, once you run it, you see that the length is given and the mode is also what? Given to you. So sometimes maybe you have already created a list, and then that list that we have already created, you really want to add, maybe you have really created a list, and the list that you have, you really want to add more lists to it, right? So I can come here and create my second list. After creating the second, I can just join the first and the second list together, right? So I have a first list there. I want to create another second list. So just as you can see here, right? I just use the list function to bracket of what the argument and just run. Once I run, I have what come here and then with new list, right? So if you really want to join the first list and the second list together, they just want the C function of the first argument, right? The new list and what the second list. If you want to join the new and the list together, the new first list and the new list together, you just do it that way using the C function. And once you run, you see that it will be given to you nicely, right? So that this one we have our vector, we have our character, we have our matrix, we have the 4 is come here and then with what new list. And if you really want to later check the length, because you have already joined the first one and the second, so if you really want to check the length for it, you just come here and then just run, right? It's really going to give us, you're having 5 because you have 5 different sets of elements. But already we have 3 and then we have added 2 lists together to 8. So previously 3 and this one currently 2. Once you add, they are getting a length of 5, right? And then we have what we call the structure, as we have already discussed. We just go to tell us what the atomic data type that we have. And sometimes you really want to remove a certain list from your listing, a list that you added that, but it is not really relevant. You want to remove it. We can only remove it using what the now listing, as you can see here. We just join that list into bracket of our 3. So the into bracket of 3 there is mean that we're going to take the third element in the list and then remove it away. Once you have this one in less than, then now it's just going to remove it away, and then once you print it, we are getting only NS Faustina 3 and then 4, right? So if you want to really check the data structure again, you can surely check it as you can see there. So purely this is how the list function works in R. Thank you for joining the class. Please kindly share, subscribe, and then so that other people will get to know the channel and come and learn. Thank you once again. Bye.